The other day I realized I'd started and recording wasn't running. So welcome everyone once again to my channel, the AM show. We're going to have another set of discussion where we'll cover, various topics that are happening in and around our town, in and around our world, more so centered around the manosphere. So let's start with a very interesting topic, and I'm joined again by my good friend Brian Linguri Jr. He's a process and chemical engineer from Kenya, and we share a number of interests. Brian, welcome.
Thank you so much, Andrew. It's nice to be here again.
Great, thank you. So during the Twitter space, I think this is the one that we had on Thursday. There was a very interesting topic where we discussed about a gentleman who was struggling with the idea of how can he respect his dad. Apparently he's been, as part of the African culture, we tend to, particularly when we mature, get jobs, we are supporting our parents and maybe any younger siblings that we have. And he came in, this was also broached in with regards to the concept of black tax. But it's not so much about him giving the money. I think the idea was the respect to his dad, because he had grown up thinking, his dad is sort of a loser, irresponsible, drunkard, and he's been giving the money to the mother. And as we unraveled that story, we realized it seems like the mother must have been the one poisoning him to see his dad as an ancient, deadbeat guy. But that was far from the truth. I don't know what you got out of it. What was your perspective with regards to this concept where particularly the boy child grows up to see their father as losers and end up channeling most of their support to their mothers?
First off, on the aspect of assisting the parents, for starters, legally, there's nothing wrong with that. But then again, as when you look at it from a logical aspect, if you are going to give from a position of plentifulness. Don't give from a position of strain. You first off, you have a duty to yourself. You have a duty to develop yourself, especially if you're in a situation whereby the only thing your parents have given you is education. There are no company shares that you've been given. There's no business that you're taking over. There's no capital that you've been given. The only thing that was provided to you was school fees for education, most likely your degree from college or university. From there, it was just you hustling around. So under such circumstances, first order of business is yourself. So if you are giving from a position of strain, you are giving from a position of scarcity, you are actually negating all this time you went to school, all these efforts you are putting, you are negating them. Because at the end of the day, when you put in an investment on yourself, it has to be returns. As much as we say that when you give, you get blessings, but then again, you have to realize these people you are giving to from a position of scarcity, these are people who had a head start of 40 years or 50 years ahead of you. So it will be very unfortunate if you find yourself, you are giving from a position of scarcity. If there's plentifulness to go around, no problem, knock yourself out. I know people have gone around and bought a car for their parents when they have 5 cars. That is very much okay. In fact, it will look very strange when you happen to have a fleet of high-end vehicles and your parents are moving around in borders. They'll say, hey, come on. In Swahili, you say, rudisha mkono. But if the closest you have ever been to a private car is an Uber, You are a connoisseur of matatus and bodabodas and other funny public service vehicles, and you are straining yourself to channel money every month to your parents. It's very unfortunate. In fact, case study, I really am grateful to my parents. They would actually say they would just tell me out of just nowhere, in case you feel like sending money to us, ensure that you are stable on your end. We have educated you for you to lift yourself up. So unfortunately, we have parents out there who I call them very evil. They are guilt tripping their children to be sending them money every month. And I must say, as much as we aim for prosperity, the reality of the fact that in this part of the world, a lot of people are straining. So if you put it upon someone to be taking like 5 or 6,000 shillings every month up country, that is the height of unfairness. Because the only thing you've gotten from them, yes, they have done a very good job in educating you, but unless there's something like shares or ownership of a business, either full or partial ownership of a business that is being handed over to you, it's like you're starting from ground zero. We all know very well that a Kenyan degree is practically nothing. When you enter into the Kenyan market with a degree with zero experience or maybe one or two internships, it's like you are even below foundation level. So it will be very unfortunate for someone to put it upon you to tell you that now you have to assist us, and even worse, when they tell you to now start looking at your siblings as though you're the one who sired them. And you find that somebody's journey to prosperity, not just it doesn't just delay, it fails, the journey collapses because you look at maybe your sibling is say 12 years younger than you. That means you have a 12-year buffer, negative buffer or a vacuum that you have to fill each time you take money towards this other guy. So should it be a man or a woman? Then they give you this perspective, oh, he'll also develop, he's also going to assist you. You should not be placed first with the parental duties. You've done your bit, you're not being dick driven. You've done your bit, you don't have baby mamas, you're living a responsible life. Then all this becomes negated when you start having taking care of siblings. Then you should have gone off and got yourself one or two baby mamas here and there because it's a negative all the same. You don't have baby mamas, but you're taking care of 2 or 3 siblings who are at an average of 8 years younger than you. So you're talking about 8 years of school fees, 8 years of expenses. It really points to a very poor way of operating. And then years down the line, chances are the people who you are assisting may end up turning into a laughing stock when your development curve takes too long. Yeah, so it's really
No,
works against you. And now to
yeah.
the
Just before even you proceed
yeah.
to the other part of the discussion, I kept asking myself, and you've said it very well, your number one duty is to yourself, no one else. Particularly if you're not married with kids.
Yes.
Your number one duty is to yourself. Why is it that when you focus on yourself, it tends to be looked down upon? And I guess this is what creates that sort of guilt tripping, where you're seen to be what some might perceive as selfish, as someone who has no disregard of others. And how can one develop sort of the thick skin to sort of still focus on developing, number one, themselves? Because I would even imagine if you're weak, who can you support? But then again, even before you begin attaining some level of independence and being able to fully stand on your own, you're already diverting quite a number of those resources that should be upon you, as you say, to your younger siblings, whom, as you clearly have stated, are not your responsibilities, not your, again, you're sort of, it's like your parents are pushing their duty to you. So why is it that this idea of duty to self, why is it that this idea of investing first and foremost to yourself is looked down upon? And there are many that have also been caught up in that sort of judgmental, look down upon kind of a thing, that they end up doing much of these things, not from a point, as you said, of plentifulness, but of a point where they're straining themselves. We've heard of cases of people who've taken huge amounts of loans to help build their parents' homes. So how can we develop that sense of self and be able to develop the thick skin where we are not sort of sidetracked by whatever the society might put on us? And also, why is it that the society we live in looks down upon that?
Well, for starters, as much as we want to say, I want to develop thick skin, I think it's more on focus. It's purely focus. For example, when a lion is hunting, let's say a lion is targeting something like a wildebeest, there are other small creatures around there which the lion can take care of easily, but the target is the wildebeest. Same with us. Your target is getting to a certain level of enhancement, whether it's financial, physical, or health. And as much as we are tempted to set a timeline, the way life is, things can really take long. But the most important thing is maintaining focus. These other things of society and whatnot, these are distractions. You see, when you look at it as a distraction, the issue of thick skin becomes irrelevant. Because a thick skin, you may talk of maybe somebody insulting you, somebody calling you names, but these are just, see, when you call it, when you use the word thick skin, we are really elevating these people. These are merely distractions. I'm yet to hear of a situation whereby you got sent to prison because you refused to take part in a funeral group, WhatsApp group. You won't end up in prison. And you not taking part in that group, and this is something I've done, in fact, quite a number of times. I've distanced myself from certain family WhatsApp setups. It's not because I'm an evil person. It's not because I hate mixing with some of these people. It's because I'm looking at my focus and my current level of resource. Can I balance these things? Of course not. So one of the options is me pushing my capacity towards some of these people at my loss, so that towards my end there'll be lack. Option two, putting resources on myself, because I do care about myself. You cannot say you care about people when you don't care about yourself. Since that the fact that I care about myself so much, I have no option but to push most of the resources to myself. Because someone may say you are selfish, but then again, if you don't take care of yourself, are you not going to become the laughing stock? And apart from laughing stock, are you not doing yourself a disservice? God created you for a purpose. God has created you and given you the capacity to take care of yourself. Why are you failing? If animals in the bush can take care of themselves, why can't you not do the same? And there's no complexity here. You look at the resource quantity and say this is unsustainable. And even happens in corporate sector. And me and you know very well their situation whereby somebody at the top says, hey, these guys are very valuable workers, they are very competent, but our resource capacity at this very moment cannot sustain them, they have to go. You're talking about highly competent individuals have to be sent away. Some case with the family members, you love them, you have nothing against them, but this moment, some of this stuff has to be thrown off the ship, otherwise the entire ship is going to sink. Yeah, it's nothing personal. It's about is there plentifulness or not? And basically, most of the time in this part of the world, there's no plentifulness. We are operating from scarcity. things are scarce. Resources tend to be scarce. So decisions have to be made. Some groupings, you have to say, this is a no. We don't hate you. We have nothing against you, but you are simply being logical. Now, that's where the aspect of logic versus emotion comes in. And there's a certain statement that tends to be thrown at. You do helping because so that one day you have a problem, they'll also help you. That is so. If you are so sure that you are going to have problems, then take an insurance policy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I
Correct.
had issues with the health some time back, so I managed to scrum up some money. I paid my NHIF for 1 full year. A small sum of 60,000 shillings. That takes care of it. Yeah. And when it comes in problems in life, problems or in negative events occur, but you can live a life whereby you can minimize the possibility of bad things happening to you. If you, no offense to people who imbibe on the drink, but if you opt to take your drinks with some 2-3 friends in your own house, as opposed to somebody who's going for a night out in the club, the person in the club is likely to end up in a bar fight. Yeah, outside there's more problem. If you really take a drink, get 2 or 3 of your like-minded people, take your sip in your balcony and whatnot, and you're safe. So if it's an issue of problems, you can live in a way that you can stay clear of some of this garbage. That's why I normally say most of the problems that men face in this world is due to the inability of a man to sit alone quietly. You can quite literally circumnavigate some of these issues so that no one comes and tell you, no, Andrew, you can have problems, and then these people who you are not focusing on, they'll abandon you. And I think at 40 years, there are quite a number of crises or many crises that we've handled on our own. Like me, when I got COVID, I was alone in my house. I took an Uber to the hospital alone, admitted myself, was hospitalized. Or upon being released, I managed through some miracle, got some money, 200,000 to pay my bill, got in an Uber, got back to my house, which at that time was really dirty. And I cleaned it and put myself okay. The next week I went for another test, negative. That was a very clear message to myself. I can hack it alone. I can actually. So no one should put you in this guilt. It's something that they tell you, oh, you have to assist people so that one day when you have problems, they'll assist you. So have we become prophets of doom?
And I guess it's part of that African kind of cultural upbringing, and there are some that end up taking advantage of it. And then it's sort of spiced up with a lot of superstition.
Yes.
And you hear of you'll be cast by your parents, or
something of the sort.
Those kind of things, and help me so that next time when you're in need, I can also help you. And part of it, when you think about it, is lack of proper planning. As you say, people should learn how to leverage things like insurance. We know that sickness is not something we can fully avoid. Of course, you could avoid it.
If I can I'm not marketing NHIF, but it's a very cheap system, which I normally use. I'm actually under meds for some bit of hypertension, which NHIF is covering fully.
I must say, as you say, we're now putting in the aspect of insurance, and insurance is proper planning. Is in the event of any unforeseen, if you might call it disaster or issue that might come, it's something that as Africans we need to understand and fully appreciate. For me, healthcare, I always take my own healthcare. And it is true, NHIF is quite a robust. I think when they did those reforms, it's become quite very reliable. I mean, does it also allow you to do both private and public hospitals, or how does it work?
I use it. In fact, what you just specify which hospital you want to. The hospital I take is next, just like 20 minutes walk from my place, from where I take my monthly medication free of charge. Although they made some adjustments on the kind of medication that you can use, but still, whatever alternative is there is far better than me buying meds every month. And
Yeah.
the place,
No,
and
that's
so
expensive.
that you know how NHIF is wonderful. That hospital, I've never seen crowds there. There's a government facility that is nearby that is always having a lot of people. It's a very huge, long queues there. This place that is being covered by NHIF, you get there within maximum 10 minutes, you are with a doctor. So it's most of the time it's virtually empty. That
That's
means
good.
most people find it expensive. But for 6,000 shillings per annum, I'm able to access that place without any issue.
It's 6,000 shillings per year.
Because the NHIF I'm doing, since I'm not employed, I use the self-care portal,
Yes,
which is 500 shillings per month.
Oh,
so I paid
goodness.
500 and that's 6K.
No, it's a bargain. I mean, I know my dad a few years ago had to do eye surgery, and the government, and this was in the order of amounts of about 90 to 100,000 shillings. And the government, I think, took care of, was it 100% or 90% of it? I mean, the amount he had to, and even at some point we thought we were gonna, help him pay it, but he ended up paying it by himself. He said, government has already paid everything.
These are the issues we are looking at, and it's very unfortunate. Such situations we are facing. Then we have like there's a certain group I just had to exit. They were putting together funds for a burial, and not to insinuate anything, I was looking at the money rolling in 2,000, 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, 2,000. So I'm asking, okay, not legally nothing wrong with that. Then I asked myself this question. I thought I asked you in our previous, I think, chats in other platforms. Raise form a family group. Ask them, you have a very nice technical project. You need at least 350,000, and let's spread it the Arambe to last over, let's say, 4 months. A 4-month period to raise 350,000 shillings to just do something nice, at least a very nice project. And you tell me about the responses. Chances are you'll be met with a lot of skepticism. Someone will ask you, what is this you are doing? Let's say you want to build something for the rural areas, you want to build an electric tractor to be used for the local projects. People, and you start form a WhatsApp group, maybe you will kick off with 20,000 shillings and see how much will take, how people respond to that. Now compare that one to a funeral group. Compare that to a wedding, a wedding reception thing. Okay, I have no problem with people getting married. As I say, as long as something cannot be pursued from a legal angle, I have no issue with it. But what about the outcomes? How does it push us the next level? If we have an electric tractor in the village, which is consuming 85% less expense in fueling because electricity is cheaper than diesel. So if you are looking at 85% drop in operating expense of that tractor, is that not a plus for the farmers? You use it during the day, you charge it at night. That is you don't have to be an Einstein, Albert, or a genius to see the benefit of that. But no, people look at you and tell you, oh, we are used to the usual tractor. This other tractor is working very well. There'll be a lot of pushback. Then you'll have to explain a lot of things. You'll spend even a month trying to go house to house and pushing an agenda. But if it is, say, I want to get married, I'm contributing money for a pre-wedding or something. In fact, you'll get a lot of blessings. Kijana yetu amefanya mambo. That is the kind of response. For a funeral, same case. So it is our mentality, and I don't know where we derail, or if there's any rail in the first place. Derailment is if there's a rail. Apparently, there's no rail somewhere.
It sounds a bit like we have our priorities a bit lopsided. It's interesting how people rally together and raise quite a number of resources for funerals, in particular for funerals. People raise a lot of money. I was even listening one time to I think it was a gentleman it was in the news, of how he lost his wife. Apparently at the time when he was trying to raise money for hospital expenses, the response was very poor. But when it came to funeral, we have to, we use even this term, we have to give them a good send-off. I mean, just look at how Muslims even do it. In a day, that thing is done and dusted.
By
done and dusted.
By 6 p.m. it should be.
But the amount of, and go even to West Africa. Oh my goodness. I understand sometimes it's a whole month affair of funeral. Just imagine the time, and then you're putting even, as you're going through that mourning phase, I can imagine you're in sort of a limbo of sorts. So suspending someone to that point, instead of, sort of doing a closure as fast as possible to now allow them to move on with their life, you're keeping them at this point of mourning for over a month, where you say celebration of a life. We have things lopsided around. Instead of thinking of this person now is dead, we have to look at logically, is of no use.
He's no longer with us. The best the most useful thing you can be is soil enrichment.
100%.
Soil enrichment, returning to the soil, manure.
Return to the soil. Return to the soil.
Yeah, the best he can contribute is soil enrichment. Or if he had a donor card, he can donate organs for research. That is the best he can give you.
Yeah.
Donor for research or soil enrichment. End of story.
Exactly. And I mean, I guess that's why you even see in the West where the Europeans and Americans tend to value the aspect of donation of their body and organs for research. We look down upon things like cremation, and we say, no. People have different perspectives, but I think as Africans, we've got certain aspects that hold us down more than take us forward.